Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Too Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. We're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. So excited today. I've got actor, writer, director Stev Guttenberg with me. So welcome, Steve.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really grateful because you've got a great podcast, and so many people have told me great things about it. And you're reaching out to people and community and creating an atmosphere where people can talk, and that's what it's all about: is talking, communicating. We're these phones that we're on. I'm on a phone talking to you right now, but they've become these little worlds that people can isolate on, and it's not good to isolate. There are people who like to be by themselves sometimes, and but it's as a lifestyle. I don't think it's too terrific. I think people are really the essence of the world. They are the most important part of our world, more important than oxygen and air and mountains and earth and people. Because without people, we would just have this little ball swimming around the universe. So I'm so glad that you've created this little community, or this big community, that we're going to be talking to.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, and it has developed into a little bit of a community, which has been pretty nice. We've enjoyed the interactions that we've had, and I'm so thrilled to have you on the program, and I'm excited to talk about the new book. But before that, hope you'll give me just a minute to get out my Stev Guttenberg connection that I've had pretty much my entire life. I've been watching your career for about 40 years now.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I was, I'll tell you the quick story, or the epiphany I had while I was prepping for our interview. So I'm going through kind of your career, and a lot of it I knew, some of it it kind of reminded me of stuff, but it dawned on me that, I was a teenager in the 80s, and I spent so much time at the movie theater watching your movies from back then, a lot of times on dates. And
Yeah, sure.
you always seem to have those great kind of fun date movies. And I'm
Yeah,
talking I was young enough, so it was that kind of magical time where you're just trying to get up the nerve to reach over and hold her hand. And you're
sure.
so nervous, and it's miserable, but awesome and wonderful too. And just, I don't know, going through just kind of your catalog, it just brought back some of those memories and those feelings that I had, when I was a teenager going to the movies. It's some of the best times of my life.
Movies are the one of the greatest pieces of art there are, modern art.
Yeah.
Of course we have novels and painting and sculpture, but there's nothing like movies to really have focus you and teach you and educate you and entertain you. And I still love making movies, and I love making television shows, and I just like filming and performing my craft at a good movie or a good television show. There's just nothing like it, because it's like cooking. You cook a great spaghetti and meatballs, and you serve it up, and people are eating it and eating it, and they can't even get their face out of the bowl, and then they go, "Is there any more?" You go, "Yeah, here's some more," and it's a great feeling. Same thing with the movie. People just can't get their eyes off the screen, and they come off and they go, "Are there any more?" You go, "Oh, yeah,
That's it.
you can go see it again."
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you a couple quick other ones. Just kind of connections that probably wouldn't mean anything to anybody but us. To us
Sure. You mind
when
if I eat while we're talking?
of course, you definitely should
Oh,
eat
thank
while we're talking. I had an interview with Robert Patrick, not Robert Patrick, Robert Picardo, and he ate. He was eating apple pie and drinking espresso while we talked. So yeah, that's
you.
a norm on this show.
Oh,
So
thank you.
when my wife and I first got together, this has been
Mm.
almost 20 years ago. We were coming
Wow.
out of divorces. Both of us had two kids, young kids. So we were trying to
Right.
merge those families, together, two families together. It's difficult.
Mm.
And we struggled
Yeah.
with it for a long time. But early on,
Yeah.
we took the kids to the beach, and we stayed at this place, and they had an old VCR and had one movie that you could watch, and that movie happened to be Short Circuit, which was one of my
Boom.
favorites. So I put that in. The kids had never seen it, and we had
Right.
the best time as a family just watching and laughing and enjoying
Wow.
that movie. And then when we woke up the next day at the beach, we were so much closer. It was like it gave us that moment where it was like a turning
Wow.
for our family. So I just thought that was worth sharing.
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Such a great movie, and Ali Sheedy and Fisher Stevens and G.W. Bailey, and directed by the great John Badham, who directed War Games and also directed Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't realize that War Games was such a great movie, and Saturday Night Fever in the 70s was outstanding.
Forget it. Forget about it.
Yeah, that movie. I still think possibly that John Travolta is the best dancer we've ever seen on screen, at least since maybe when we're watching in black and white.
Right. No, he's pretty fantastic.
He could
So
dance.
he's got a new movie coming out. It's Catherine Hellriegel.
Oh, really?
So it'll be coming out soon. I heard he dances in that. He's pretty great.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific. So we have to talk about the new book. So it's Time to Thank, Caregiving for My Hero. And it's coming out, I think, next month.
Actually, May 21st, but
Oh,
you
May
can
20th.
pre-order it. Please pre-order it now on Amazon.com. You can go to Amazon and pre-order it. And the pre-orders are really important. And also, you can go to timetothankbook.com, where I'll actually sign a book for you, personally sign it for you, and put your name and any kind of description you want. So that would be timetothankbook.com. And I appreciate anybody going there for it.
The first thing I will say, and I haven't had time to read the whole book. I only got it yesterday, but I've been reading. And what struck me immediately is you're a really talented writer. And I wasn't aware of that. And I know
Thank
you've
you.
written a couple other books.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
your descriptions of the imagery and the things that you're seeing when you're driving and stuff, I thought it was really well done. You know, it's a quick read,
Thank you.
but a good read. And I think you get a lot of little nuggets out of there that I thought were really good.
Wow, that's what a writer wants to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, tell me a little bit about what the book is about.
Sure. Well, the book is called Time to Thank. And of course, you can pre order it on Amazon. No, my publisher loved that I said that. And I have to say that because I want people to buy it too.
That's right.
And it's about the 5 years that myself, my family, and my friends, and our caregiving helpers, associates, took care of my father. He had renal failure, which is kidney failure.
Yeah.
And then you have to go on dialysis. And it's a very, very difficult process. And he was pretty weak through it. At first, he was doing 3 days a week, and then it became 4 days a week, then it became 5 days a week, and then it became 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And the book is meant for good. How are you? It's going great. It's going great. I'm doing a podcast. Come in and say hi. Here's a friend of mine.
Hi.
And this is Ashley, and we're doing a little podcast here.
Yeah.
Coolest guy on the planet.
You don't have to sell me.
He said you don't have to sell me.
Oh, good. Okay, I hope I can tell everybody else though.
Oh, you're so sweet, Ashley.
You're
Yes, so you look great today. What are you doing? You took your beautiful pill? All right. It's
Hey, if you have some of those, pass those over.
All right, thanks. Good to see you, Ashley. What a sweet lady. So the book is really for caregivers all over the country and all over the world. You know, there are 53 million caregivers in this country. 53 million. There's 350 million people. That means probably 20 or 30% of the entire adult population or more are caregivers. So either, and Rosalind Carter, before she passed, opened the Rosalind Carter Caregivers Institute in Georgia, basically for caregivers, because it's such a lonely, isolating experience. You know, you're sitting in a room with someone who's sick, so you have to be very gentle, very quiet, and these are fragile people, and it's a very lonely occupation. So I wrote this book to tell other caregivers that you're not alone, and to tell people who are not caregivers, this is what it's like. And you know, you're either, there's only a few types of people in this world. You either have a caregiver, you're going to need a caregiver, you are a caregiver, or you're going to be a caregiver. There's just four types of people in this world, and that's what Rosalind Carter said. So the book is an amalgamation of stories, basically with the framework of I would leave my house at 3 a.m. from LA and drive on a Monday morning to see my dad in Arizona, and take my dad to dialysis Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then Thursday drive the 400 miles back. And it's very tough to see someone you love so much not well and ill. And I know many people know what that feels like. And I wanted to write the book so that people know they're not alone in this experience.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great reason to do. And I'll say the love that you had for your dad or have for your dad it definitely comes across the page. So that's terrific. I love the well, love's not the word, but a line that really I felt it when I read it was, if dad had dialysis, we all did.
Yeah.
And that's such a true statement, because you know when the head of your family, especially, but anybody that you love within a family is sick, and you have to care, or they're going through something, like it affects every single person in the family. I just, that line I thought was really well done.
Oh man, I'm going to remember that. Thanks so much, because it's true. If somebody in your family has cancer, everybody's got cancer.
Yeah.
You know, because you feel it. If you love somebody and you see him all the time, you see him going through it.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, you love that person and you know what they're going through, and it's tough. It's tough, but you still have to go on with your life and chop the wood and get the water and do all your jobs. But when you see someone you love so much in such pain, I mean, it just changes your life. It just changes you.
It does. It does. And you talk a little bit about, seeing your father, this person that you idolized, that took care of you your whole life, seeing him in a weakened position, and how that, because I'm going through that with my parents. I'm at that age, and thankfully they're still in pretty good health, but they've had a few health scares. And that moment when it kind of turns the corner, and the child has to start taking care of the parent, it's so difficult.
Wow, you say, no, please, no. No, mom, no, dad, you take care of me. You're not, you can't get fragile, you can't get weak. You're my mom and dad. And it's such a turnaround. It's just it's sort of like it's just like seeing a building you love fall down. It's this building that you went to school in and carried thousands of kids up and down, and then you see the building is getting old and there's cracks in it, and you just can't believe this is the building that you knew. And that's really what most of our parents are. They're these incredible structures,
Yeah. And it's difficult on both sides. Like when my father had a health scare, it was hard on him having to rely on me and the rest of the family for help. And it was hard on us, even though we love the opportunity to help. It was hard on us being in that position because we're used to him taking care of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what was the drive like the first time you went? Because I know me, if I'm on a long drive like that and there's a reason, a destination that I'm getting to, a lot of stuff is running through my head while I'm driving. But I was curious what that first drive was like for you.
First drive was, you don't know what, I didn't know what I was going to come into with dialysis.
Yeah.
And there were three things going on. I thought about my dad when he was young, and he took care of the whole family.
Yeah.
And all the things he did for us, and all the experiences I had when I was starting out in Hollywood, when he would come to visit me and he would help me with all kinds of situations and advice. And we went on movie sets together, and how dad and I went to ball games together. And when I was a little kid, he helped me put my pajamas on and helped me in the shower and helped me shave for the first time and comb my hair and go pick out a suit and put on clothes. And then I would watch the desert, because I drove through the California desert and then the Saguaro Desert, which is the Arizona desert, which is far more beautiful than the California desert. Got all those beautiful cactuses.
Yeah.
And it's the mountains are so beautiful. And there are all these deserted buildings, basically deserted towns along the 10 freeway that you can go take a look at. Deserted homes and buildings and restaurants where there were these full lives.
Yeah.
And now they're gone. And it was a parallel to my dad, having this full life, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And then about what it's like now to take care of my dad, that I help him with his clothes on, and I help him put his pajamas on, and I help him in the shower. If you've ever helped your parent in the shower, it's just really hard to accept. So that was my drive. But you know what? The drive was never long, because a great pastor friend of mine always said, don't walk a mile for someone who won't cross the street for you, but walk 10,000 miles through a hurricane for 1 minute with someone you love. So the drive was never long. Never.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, and I love the, when your father, you talk about in the book, he has an incident. You need to take him to the hospital, but he won't go until you tell him that you need to go to the hospital. And then he gets up and goes. And that struck me because that's a parent.
It was incredible. He was having this small stroke and he couldn't even speak, but he didn't want to go to the hospital. And I understood he didn't want to go to the hospital. It was terrible. We couldn't get him in the car.
Yeah.
And then I said to him, Dad, I think I'm having a heart attack. I think I got to go to the hospital. Will you come with me? And he said, yeah.
I know.
It's
I
terrible,
felt that
man.
one too.
It's terrible.
That
Well, and going to the ER room is horrible.
Yeah.
Every time my dad had an incident, I know people out there have had that experience. When you say to somebody, we got to go to the ER. No. And then you go to the ER and they say they got to admit you. No, please, no, I don't want to be overnight. I don't want to stay here overnight. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's hard. So, not that the book is all kinds of hard stories. There are some very, very funny stories
No,
too.
there's some great humor.
We made sure. Yeah, there's some funny things. Yeah, my publisher said, we got to make this really enjoyable too. So I got some funny stories in there.
You've got some good ones. And I like the you talking about your dad getting up early to go to work and he tells you, hey, one of these days you'll be creeping around your house too. And I thought that one struck me as pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. You do creep around because if you're getting up early, you don't want everybody else getting up if they don't have to. But my dad was such a strong man, such a great father. I really miss him.
Tell the story about claiming an office at Paramount that wasn't given to you, because that one was pretty humorous, I thought.
When I first came out to California in 1976, my parents gave me 2 weeks to become an actor or a movie star. And I said, okay. So that's all it takes, 2 weeks. So I hit the ground running, and I went to all the studios, and I finally was able to sneak into Paramount. And it was just like being in Disneyland. I was on the Happy Days set and Mork and Mindy set. I was on Little House on the Prairie and a movie called Gray Lady Down with Charlton Heston and Christopher Reeve.
Yeah,
it was incredible. And the history of Paramount, and when you get on one of those lots, it's just like anything goes because it's its own little world. They've got their own hospital, they got their own fire department, they've got offices, they've got a restaurant, they've got everything there. So you don't ever have to leave the lot. And so I found this old makeup building called the Lucille Ball Makeup Building, and it was empty. So I'd go there every day and walk around. It was completely empty, and I thought, you know what? I want to make a little office here and make phone calls to agents. So my dad was an electrical engineer, and I knew a little bit about wires. So I strung a phone from one of the stages up the side of the building and picked out a little office and I had a phone. Then I went down to the prop department and talked them into letting me have a desk and chair and some lamps and stuff. So I said I was using it for Happy Days. And I took all that stuff and I had a furnished office at Paramount.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. Did that
pretty amazing.
How long did you stay there before, somebody said, hey, you're not supposed to be there?
3 years. Pretty great, right?
That's pretty good.
Pretty great. It was great. It was great. Lucille Ball Makeup Building.
I'm guessing Lucille Ball never showed up.
No, she didn't show up, but it was great.
Yeah,
It was just
that's
great.
that one. That one kind of cracked me up. I like the fact that your dad, he's very, in this way, he's very similar to my wife. My wife's name's Emily as well. But he saw the good in everybody, and that's what my wife does. It's like, and it drives me crazy at times because she'll see the good in people that I might be aggravated with at the time. She'll like,
Sure.
but that's a great way to go through life, I think. Just seeing the positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought it helped to paint that picture of the type of a man your dad was.
Thank you so much. He was such a special guy, and friendly and strong, smart and open and creative and modern and forward thinking.
Yeah.
Great values, integrity. Special guy.
I love the story about when you you were offered your first big role and it caused you some a little bit of a crisis, and you talk about going and sitting at the foot of your parents' bed and kind of talking it out with them on whether or not you accepted the job. And I was like, that's exactly what it's like. When I first started to work, I did something similar. I may not sit on the bed, but I definitely went to see them to talk about it. Is this the right move for me? That type of thing.
Yeah, there's nothing like being with your folks, and if you have a great relationship with them, you're gonna get great advice. I mean, nobody cares about you more than they do. Nobody.
No, that's the truth. Tell me a little bit about the line you mentioned that God tends to give you space in your life when you need it or where it's needed. What does that mean?
I think that he sort of makes things work in a sense that when there's something necessary to be done, he won't flood you with a lot of other nonsense.
Yeah.
A friend of mine always said, thank God for the downtime, the time where maybe no one's coming into the store so that you have time to do your accounting, time that the phone's not ringing, although you want the phone to ring and you want to talk to people, but the phone's not ringing. So that'll give you time to organize something that you needed to organize,
Yeah.
That, you didn't get 1,000 emails, so you can get some other stuff done. And then sometimes that happens in personal life, where someone's not well and you have time to take care of them.
I really love that because I think it's true. If you go through a difficult period and then, years later kind of look back on it, sometimes you wonder, how did I get through that? It was so much. How do you even get through that? And I think that's how we do it. Things tend to move aside when something really important comes along. And then once that situation's kind of taken care of or behind you, then everything else starts flooding back in. Yeah.
I think so. I think that a lot of things are divinely guided.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I always believe that things happen for a reason. Certain people come across your path multiple times in your life, and it's for a reason. You may not realize it the first few times they come across your path, but at some point, you're going to realize, hey, yeah, they're here for this or whatever it is. And I always thought that was something that happens that we don't necessarily pay much attention to, but I've always believed that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I have a close friend that said, make sure you bring up Diner. That's his favorite movie. And his kind of question to you, and this is jumping off of the book for just a second, was, do you ever go back and kind of look at that cast? Because it's such a great cast. But at that time, maybe we didn't know just how great a cast it was. But looking back at it now, I mean, that movie's loaded.
Yeah, you know, I've been lucky with a lot of movies that have had a terrific cast. And Diner is one of them. You know, you got Danny Stern and Tim Daly and Kevin Bacon and Mickey Rourke and Paul Reiser, Ellen Barkin.
Yeah.
But you know, I did this movie called The Day After, which was big
Oh, I
television
remember
event.
they showed that every year at school when I was growing up.
Yeah, you got Jason Robards and John Lithgow um and Mary Mary Beth, not Mary Beth Hurt, but you got a bunch of other really terrific actors in there, or you know, Cocoon with Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy and Wilford Brimley and Donna Michi, and so you know, I did this movie Boys from Brazil. I had Gregory Peck and Laurence Olivier, James Mason, Uta Hagen. So I've been lucky to be in some movies that had a lot of good people.
Yeah, that's amazing with that. And it you know, going back to the book with that, if someone's picking that up to read it, what do you hope that they get out of it?
I'm hoping that, and using the word hope, that you have hope. That's what the book is about, hope. That you can that there is a rainbow at the end of the storm. That in life you go through some tough times and you handle them, and at the end there is a rainbow. Things get better. You know, my dad went to heaven, even though he had a tough struggle. The whole family had a tough struggle. So I think that's a lot of it. And then also to people to understand what caregiving is, what it's like to have somebody that you love and you're their charge, that you make sure they eat and sleep and get their medicine and do their exercises and enjoy the time they have left on this earth. And that caregivers are not alone. There's 53 million caregivers in this country. We're all doing it alone, sitting in a room with someone who's sick. It's very rarely a community effort. But that the book says, this is what it's like, and I know what you're going through. And if you haven't gone through this, give it a read, because it'll give you an insight into what might be coming, and also some joy in the fact that a family rallies around their loved one who's not well, and that that there's hope. There's always hope.
You know, I love that. And I'll tell you, just from the few hours that I've spent reading, when I stopped, you know, because it's emotional. Like, it made me emotional several places. But when I stopped, it was that's how I felt. I felt hopeful. You know, it was not, I
So
didn't come
glad.
out of it sad. I came out of it feeling pretty good. And that's not easy to do when you're writing about tough
Yeah.
subjects.
Yeah, it's a tough subject, but I'm so glad. I wanted that. I wanted people to come out of it thinking, you know, this is the journey of life. But
Was
you
it
know,
cathartic writing?
it was, yeah, it was. It was hard though. It was tough to go through that, all those experiences again. And it deals with my grief too, of losing him, and how you deal with grief, which is not easy.
No, it's very difficult, and we all kind of deal with it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were growing up, did you have to do the, you know, hide under your desk nuclear drills?
Yeah, we
No,
did. We did. Yeah, we are absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I was just thinking, because you mentioned the Day After Tomorrow, and they did. We watched that at least once every school year, sometimes twice with that.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty scary.
Yeah, pretty scary. Yeah. At the time, especially, and you know, as kids, we didn't really mind hiding under a desk. That was kind of fun. But just looking back,
Yeah.
that's so crazy. That desk isn't going to do anything.
My God. No. Well, hopefully we'll never have a nuclear war.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, you know, if we do,
no.
we're not going to be around to worry about it. But Yeah, hopefully that never occurs.
Oh my God, please no.
um,
But I'm so happy to be talking to you about my book and about these important subjects and meaningful stuff and laughing with you. I appreciate it.
yeah, no problem, no problem. I wanted to ask you about the Simpsons shout out that you had. What you thought about that, and if the what was they called, the Stonecutters, actually helped make your career.
They did. Well, I got a call from a guy named Sam Simon who worked over on the Simpsons, and he said, "Look, we want to do a little send up of you, make sport of you a little bit. Do you mind?" And I said, "No." He said, "This is what we have in mind." And I said, "Okay, tell me." He told me, and I said, "Well, you know, it's not exactly how I would describe myself, but you got to have a sense of humor about everything, and especially about yourself." So then they put it on. It became a little bit of a hit. Whenever I see people, they're always, a lot of people say,
Love that.
what, what makes who hates the electric car? We do, we do. Who makes Steve Guttenberg a star? We do, we do.
I love that. Yeah, I know it cracks me up every time I see it. I think it's such a good episode. Of course, the Simpsons, that's what they do. They just kind of poke fun at everything, and they've been doing that for 30 years.
Yeah, they sure have. They've been great. Wow. What a business.
What a business. Well, sir, thank you so much for taking some time to talk about the book. It's so good. I so happy that I got a chance to read it. I'll finish it, but it's really worthwhile. Like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised that you were such a good writer.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. And please recommend it to your friends and family and to everybody out there. Please pre-order it because that means a lot. And I really appreciate talking to you. This was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I've enjoyed your career for decades, and I'll mention a few obscure ones. You did a little cameo on Amazon Women on the Moon, which is one of my mother's favorite movies. She cracks up.
Oh my God. That movie's too funny. It's too funny. And I did that skit with Rosanna Arquette. She's really pretty terrific.
Yeah, that movie's great. It's really good. And then I loved you on Veronica Mars, and loved it even more when you showed up on Party Down.
Right on, man. So good. So good. I'm going to work with Rob Thomas again on a new show. So it should be pretty fun.
Oh,
So
that's exciting.
high potential.
When's that one coming out?
Probably, let's see. They're filming it now. Either the summer or the fall. Not sure.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, and that was kind of how I wrap up. Is there anything else that you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
Oh, gee, I've got a few other projects. I did a play last year, and hopefully we'll be doing it around the country. That I wrote and a guy named David Saint directed, and then I've got a few other movies coming out. But I really just want to focus on my book, and I'm just hoping that people pre-order it from Amazon and enjoy it.
Yeah, yes, sir. And I did have one more thing I wanted to ask you. I know you in the past, and I'm sure continued, have done a lot of charity work with the homeless situation. And I was just curious. It seems like to me, just we do a lot of traveling just the last few years. It seems like the situation's getting a little worse, and I just wondered what you thought of that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Times are tough, and there isn't enough facilities, and there isn't enough money and ability for the country to take care of our homeless.
Yeah.
And these are people. And years ago, I would help my friends Al and Jill Siegel. They taught me how to make sandwiches and give them out to homeless people. And I would go everywhere and just make tons of sandwiches and give them out. And finally, I met a couple, and they were really smart. They were very well educated. They were living under this bush, and I asked them why, and they said, "Well, can't get a job without an address, and you can't get an address without a job." And so then I was inspired I wanted to build a home where homeless people who are ready to work could live, but I couldn't get the state to sanction it. but I was able to build a little foster house on Van Ness downtown. I'm sorry, down near the airport, and it's called Guten House, and where it has 2 apartments, 2 bedrooms in each apartment, and girls live there, women live there, and we've got a social worker, and it's run by the state. And I wanted it to be for homeless people, but a friend of mine said, foster kids, when they're emancipated, a lot of them have nowhere to go because their families can't afford to keep them. And they go on the street and become homeless. So maybe this would be a great place to put emancipated foster kids, and that's what we did.
That's terrific. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Yeah, we kind of feel similar. Even here in our small town in West Virginia, we struggle with a homeless situation. We one of our the building we have our studio in, we also rent out of that building, and we had a person come through and broke out a window, and he got arrested, but he did that because he was homeless and just wanted to go back to jail. And that just broke my heart. I wasn't even worried about the window. I just felt so bad for him.
Jeez.
Terrible. It's just I don't have a solution, but it's definitely a problem that we need to try to fix.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
God.
Sir, thank you so much. Sorry to end on a down note, but this has been an absolute highlight for me. Been looking forward to this, and I just really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. And the website is timetothankbook.com, where you can get a signed version of my book, or you can go to amazon.com and get a pre-order of my book. And it comes out May 21st. And I think it'll give people a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Hope is what it's all about.
I think so too.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's good to meet you.
Pleasure. I'll see you again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we get a chance to do this again at some point.
I would love to. Of course we will.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Have a good day.
Be well. You too.
Bye-bye. How great was that? If you're of a certain age and you're not a Stev Guttenberg fan, I've got doubts about you. He really was. I probably didn't do a very good job explaining it. He was such a big part of my teenage years. I mean, all the Police Academy movies, 3 Men and a Baby, 3 Men and a Little Lady, Short Circuit. And that's just the name, maybe the franchises that we know. There were so many movies and things that he was a part of that I absolutely loved. And I meant what I said. It really brought back some nostalgic feelings from that time. I told the little story about Short Circuit, which is that movie is very beloved by my family, just because it was part of the reason that we were able to come together. So really like that. The one that I didn't bring up is kind of a neat one for me and Brett, is that when we started this podcast back in 2019, the first convention that we covered as press, the first time somebody said, okay, we're going to let you cover our convention. It was a big moment for us. We went to the Cincinnati Comic-Con, and Steve was one of the main guests, along with Adam West and Burt Ward. Adam West was still with us at that time. Just amazing, and it just kind of emphasizes, the impact that Steve has had on my life at different points within that life. Just a really, I don't know, fun little connection that kind of came to me while I was prepping for this. Most of you, I think, know Steve's work. We talked about a little bit of it. I wanted to spend most of our time on this absolutely terrific book. But a few of the things that I always enjoyed doing. Cocoon was another one from back in the 80s, and the sequel as well. Love those movies. Recently, he was had a little stint on the Goldbergs. We've had several of those actors on the program. Love that show. He played Wayne on Ballers. I mentioned Party Down and Veronica Mars that he was on. Seemed like he voiced King Jasper in the new version of The Little Mermaid. So still very active with his acting. He's writing, and he's got the charitable works. Just a really terrific guy. And I hope you enjoyed the interview. And please go out and get the book. It's open for a pre-order right now. Time to Thank, Caregiving for My Hero. It's going to get you emotional. I'm not going to lie. It's going to get you emotional, but it's so well written. There's excellent, funny stories within there. And there's things and statements, little things that sometimes Steve said, sometimes it came from his dad. Little nuggets is what I call them, that you'll carry with you. You know, there was things I took out of that book. I was like, oh, that's does such a good job of summing up whatever it is. And I'm taking that with me. I think you'll be the same. You're going to find things in this book that are going to make your life a little better. And you're also going to see that if you've been in that situation where you've had to be a caregiver, you're going to see you're not alone. There's so many of us dealing with that. You know, my wife lost her dad a couple of weeks ago, and we've had to step in with her stepmother and kind of help with that situation. Not always easy. And most of us have somebody in the family that's occurring to. So just difficult, and good for Steve being able to get that down, because that had to be emotional trying to write that out. I'm sure it was cathartic, but that has to be emotional putting all that on paper, because you're basically reliving what you went through. And that could be good. That could also be difficult. So good for Steve, because I really do believe this book will help some people, and it's just a good read and a pretty easy read. It's not one that's going to take you a ton of time to get through, but I think you'll really enjoy it. So please, let's support Steve, and let's go and get that book. I know we're going to purchase a copy. I got, a digital copy that I've been reading through, but I'm a book guy. I like holding it in my hands. So I'm ordering a copy of that, and we'll be passing that around the family 100% for sure. My wife, I know, is already wanting to read it. If you're finding us for the first time, thank you. So happy that you're here. We tend to do 4 to 5 episodes a week. We're pretty high volume. Today, we're putting out episode 750. So a little bit of a milestone for us. And, I've said this many times on this program, I would put our guest list up against any other podcast, talk show, anything that where they have guests on. I'd put us up. I think our guest list is just outstanding. I'm so proud of it. The guest list far outshines the host. So I try not to overtalk too much. Let's let the guests have most of the limelight. I think that's why the show is done so well. But if you would like to support us, there's a couple easy ways to do it. They're free. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please just subscribe. That subscription really does help us out. Our website is meistercon.com. You can find all 750 episodes, audio and video, on there. If we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, covering a convention, anything we have going on, be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named us a top 100 podcast. Why is that a big idea? Why is that a big deal? Well, we came in at number 82, which a lot of people will say, oh, it's not that great. Well, it's number 82. There's 15 million and counting podcasts out there. We're just thrilled to death to be on anybody's top 100 list. If you go to imdb.com and just look up the Too Opinionated podcast, you'll be able to see every guest we've had on there, descriptions about each episode, everything you need to know about the show, and it's free. Plus, as a bonus for us, the traffic on our page helps us out as well. Thank you guys for tuning in again this week. This is going to be a great year for the Too Opinionated podcast. We have got amazing guests lined up. We just recently completed a resident alien panel where we had 9 of the main cast together to talk about it. It was unbelievable, and we just have the best guests lined up for you over the next several months. So please keep coming back. Love to have you here. Thank you so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. You know, not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. You know, those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to IMDb, imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, you know, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.